fats, fat fats, belly fats, all that other kind of fat stuff. But first of all, since it's a new year, by a show of hands, has anyone made some New Year resolutions? I don't know what to say. But most of the time, when it comes to New Year resolutions, a lot of times people will say they want to lose weight, or they want to increase their exercise and start eating properly, so on and so forth. Have you ever met someone like that, and then once they kind of start it, they either stop or they might lose weight and then they regain it? Have you ever had that happen to anyone that you might have? Not you, I know. The other the thing is that most of the time when it does happen, it's not because someone is a failure of it. Generally, it's just because January is the worst time of year to ever try to lose weight. And when it comes to restricting or cutting back on your calories. And the reason why is because during the winter months, your body actually needs to intake more fuel and more calories. And the reason why is because of the fact that it helps with fuel and heat production. And that's what your body needs. If not, then it's the kind of innate, your body produces an innate winter wisdom to store fuel. And when that happens, most of the time it ends up because of the fact you're restricting the calories and it has to store the fats. So that's why that's the worst time of year to do it. So there are some things that you can do to kind of help to do it in a way that will be productive for you when it comes to the right types of fats to eat, so on and so forth. Now, a lot of you heard of the trans fats. Does anyone know what that is? Okay. Everyone knows it. Is that something that is, would you say that it's something that's chemical, that's synthetically produced? Yeah, Julie's like, yeah, it is. It's something that's synthetically produced. And just to kind of give you an idea, when it comes to fats, because fats, of course, is good for your body. Your body does need certain types of good fats. But when it comes to certain things with the trans fats or with other unhealthy fats, generally that's found in foods that are processed and packaged foods. Sometimes it's found obviously in meats, so on and so forth. And the reason why that's such a challenge for your body is that your body doesn't know how to, it's too much that is entering into your body. For example, in things that are chemically processed that you eat, this packaged foods. Has anyone, if you think of when sometimes if you were to take medicine for one reason, let's say you were taking medicine, I think I use this illustration, Julie might know, with the headaches. So you're suffering from migraines, so you're taking medicine for that. If you look at the list that it tells you, or the symptoms or warnings and so forth, it'll say that they can cause, you know, liver problems, it can cause this and then a whole list of problems that it can cause. The reason why is because your body is not used, that particular chemical or medicine has been designed to help for headaches only. And so because it is something that is foreign, your body doesn't know how to absorb it. So it says, hey, wait a minute, something's going on here. So it's helping your migraines, but yet for the other parts of your body, it doesn't know exactly how to absorb it. So what it does is that it causes a rejection of it, and that's the reason why it can produce other symptoms. So it's the same thing whenever you have packaged foods, refined foods, and different things that are chemically produced that you're putting into your body doesn't know how to absorb it. And those are some of the concerns that a lot of people have, which is the reason why when people try to say, you know what, excellent to work out, as Julie had mentioned, but then when it comes to the diet portion, like, you know what, I'm going to not eat this, not eat that, or whatever, I gotta restrict my calories, not good. So one of the things that I brought something, I'm going to just kind of go over some things very simple with you. It's not going to be, you know, it's not a rocket scientist. I don't want you to come say, oh, that was great, but I have no idea what she was talking about. So I'm going to give you just some simple things just to kind of keep in mind, everyday things that people have. Everyone has heard of salt before, of course, we all use it. There's various different types of salt. Most of the table salts that's used, of course, sometimes people do like to season their food because it adds a little bit of flavor, so on and so forth. But table salts, typical table salts, is chemically produced. So it's not something that is natural. And a lot of times your body can't absorb that because it is not natural, the table salt that's used. So whenever you add more salt to it, you're just causing your body to have to metabolize and work, go into overload and trying to help to break it down. It's overwhelming for your body. So have you ever heard, has anyone ever heard about Himalayan salt or sea salt? Okay. I know sometimes people are like, oh yeah, this is really good, I'm going to use it, it's a new craze, a new trend. But it's actually very good to use. Sea salt, Himalayan or Celtic sea salt, whatever you choose to use. I, for example, got this from Trader Joe's. Earth Fair has it. There's various different kinds that you can use. The reason why this is so nice is because this is a natural, it's pretty awesome, pretty pink, you like pink. It's a natural sea salt that is able to break down easier in your body. Your body is able to absorb it. So when you add this, you don't need to add a lot. A lot of times people are like this, and they're talking, oh yes, I love myself. So this you only need to add a very little because of the fact that it is very potent, it's powerful, but yet it metabolizes very well and absorbs very well easily into your body. So that's something that's good to keep in mind. Something simple, kind of replacing your salt, and that helps so that your body doesn't store as much. I brought some notes so that I can stay on track because I love to talk about eating good and nutrition and all this other good stuff, but I know I can also go overboard. Another thing is it's good to keep in mind when it comes to healthy eating is that you want to really try to change the quality of your food. And when you change the quality of your food, then quantity comes into play as well. So after your workout, before your workout, some of the things to keep in mind, for example, a lot of times people, they might get bored on eating certain foods, you know, the nuts, the seeds. It's like, you know what, I want more than that. You know, this is kind of boring. Well, you can add other things into your diet. Everyone has heard of, for example, does anyone like peanut butter jelly sandwiches? Do you have children? Okay, we have a lover here. Okay, PB&J. So let's try an alternative to that. Most of the peanut butter containers, when you look at that, if you look on the back of it, it has a lot of other things besides peanut. So, and they add things such as sugar, when they add the salt, and so on and so forth. Well, what you can do as an alternative, if you love peanut butter, then just try to get the ones that's just peanut butter, the ingredients peanut butter only. And a lot of times if you get the one that's churned, it's like if you go to Earth Fare has it, if I'm not mistaken. There's Healthy Home Market that might have it as well. Almond butter is excellent because of the fact that it has a higher digestive enzyme, and so it helps it's more of a omega friendly, heart friendly nut as opposed to the peanuts between the two. Avocado is another good healthy fat. One of the things that's fun with avocado, you don't have to do just the guacamole, but you need to make, for example, avocado sandwiches. If you do that with put tomatoes on it, that's it's a raw digesting enzyme. So that's perfect. You really don't need to even add any other things to that because of the fact that it is a natural healthy fat, a good fat, and it actually goes into your body. It's considered a whole food. So have you ever eaten, let me just do a little side point. Have you ever eaten some food and you felt hungry afterwards? You're thinking, you know what, that was really good, but I don't know if I'm missing something. So you have this craving. Well, let's kind of change that around. If you eat more whole foods, whole grains, grain products, more beans, more animal proteins, and the good fats, nuts and seeds, those things, when you surround your diet such as that, kind of like when you go to the grocery store, you're kind of more so on the outside and not so much in the inside of the aisles, you'll find yourself being filled faster or easier as opposed to if you were just to eat a whole lot of processed foods with that. So going back to the one of the things that I like to have is an almond butter and apple slicer sandwich, which is really good because of the apples. Between the apple and the banana, just to give an example, an apple helps to stave off your hunger faster and longer as opposed to the banana because it's on a higher glycemic level. So if you concentrate on the calorie counting, well, I have to watch this, okay, so let me see my weights, I have to exercise my calories. Sometimes that can be very overwhelming and you can get kind of like lost in the shuffle, you can get really confused, and it'll cause you to just want to say, you know what, forget it, let me just throw it out the window. I want to work really hard at Julie's next class, and then I'm going to be able to treat myself to Big Mac. So what you can do is let's backtrack with that. When you make just healthier, smarter choices, as I mentioned, like for example with this sea salt, avocado, making avocado sandwiches using peanut butter or almond butter, which is another great healthier alternative to use. Keep in mind this picture. If you can if you don't remember anything else that I've said this evening, try to keep this in mind. Is that when it comes to making choices for food, you want things that are as close to nature as possible. And what I mean by that, I'm not talking about overdosing on vegetables only. You never really overdose on vegetables, but not just having vegetables only. Some people do prefer to eat meat, and they do enjoy eating meat. Well, there's other things that you can do as far as with the meats, to making sure that the meats, of course you already know this, that are being lean meats, and even being able to introduce other things into your diet that maybe you might not be quite familiar with. Has anyone ever heard of quinoa? Okay, millet, barley, okay. Those are some of the other forms of whole grains, buckwheat, sova, which soba noodles is a form of buckwheat. Those are different things that you can try to introduce, and people might be often surprised to try different types of healthier eating. That's a variety. That's actually not anything that we're like, oh, you know, this looks disgusting. I don't know what that is. It's just really opening up your ideas as far as with doing different things. One last thing I want to mention is, keep in mind when it comes to chemically processed foods, we live in a society, unfortunately, that is heavily saturated with genetically modified foods. Is it okay? You familiar with that? You shook your head. You heard about it. Did you hear about they made the news about, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, they made an announcement in the news. It was really brief, saying that they're going to start genetically modifying foods, more information to follow. That was kind of it. But, do you remember hearing about that? Yeah, okay, well, that's this is true. So, this is the thing: soy, cottonseed, canola, and
corn. Corn.
Corn. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Those are the 4 major seeds in America. That if you do further research on it, it's pretty interesting to find out just about how much of these foods have been genetically modified. And what I mean by genetically modified, obviously, is nothing that's natural. So when you're putting these things into your body, look at it as if you were taking medicine that is something foreign in your body and that is not there to help you. So when you choose the foods, you want to make sure that you choose foods that are wholesome, that are organic, if not all organic. Another additional thing to that is choosing local foods. We have a great abundance here in North Carolina with a lot of local farmers that, because of the fact it costs at least about $10,000 to be certified organic for these farmers. A lot of these farmers don't have the monies for that. So what they do is they still follow the protocol for it, but they're just not listed as it. And I know that, just to let you know, because of the fact when I moved down here, that was one of the things. I come from New York, and I was just at the farmers markets right in the city. Of course, I was a little generic farmers market, but it was fun. And so I had a great relationship with a lot of the local farmers there. So when I came down here, I called around just to find out, and that's what some of the farmers had explained to me. And that was very enlightening, because it's good to know. You can buy kale, a big bunch of kale, which is a dark green leafy vegetables, for some farmers like this for $2. Whereas if you were to go to local grocery stores, you know, you're paying about $3 and up for that. So that's just an example to give you with that. So when it comes to the fats, you want to make sure that you are just making simple changes starting in your diet, so that you can be able to go for the long haul, as opposed to just doing something that's quick. You know, for the new year, I'm going to start off doing this, and then you backfire. So I wanted to let Julie know, before I conclude, that what I am offering, just to kind of help to jumpstart people's health, is that on my website I do a kitchen makeover, and I also do a healthy food shopping tour. And I know you have one of those things coming up, but I also do a personal one, and I wanted to extend that to those who are here for the kitchen makeovers, where I will actually come to your kitchen, and I will look at your cabinet, see what you have, and just to kind of help you to do a nice little makeover, just some things that you can, nothing radical, but if you want me to be radical, I don't mind. I mean, I can be docile, I can be, hey, get out of there, you know, however you like me to work, I don't mind. So that's really, it's really great, because sometimes in your home it can be overwhelming. Like, you know what, I don't really know, is this really good? Is that not good? So I'll do that, and I have a special price that I like to offer you for that. So I will be in contact with Julie once she gets your email, then you'll be notified with that, and then also for the tour.
You got a long time. I was going to ask if you could comment, because I know I run across so many people that are still afraid to eat any kind of fat, and there's a lot of information out there these days about, you know, how the 80s really trained us to eat high carb and low fat, and we're not doing our bodies the right way. And that's when the obesity epidemic tripled, basically, in the past 30 years. So I didn't know if you could comment on those good fats a little bit.
That's a good point. Americans now are kind of, you know, it's so funny when you said that was a myth before, as far as with the high, with the fat burning zone. You know, it's kind of interesting how we just go on trends. We start one way, and then whatever the trend takes us this way and that way. So when it comes to fats, your body needs fats, and most of the time, a lot of times people are on the no fat. You know, they only do they stay away from the carbs. If they're going to do any fat, is low fat. The reason why that presents a challenge for you, and I like what Julie said about each person is genetically made differently. So I'm not going to give you a diet or protocol to follow because I don't believe in there's a one-size-fits-all diet. Each person's body is different even within the same family. So your body might respond differently. That's the reason why what I do for my profession is personal health coaching. I work with you on a one-on-one basis as your personal health advocate, and so we see the changes. I don't give you a list of calories or a list of things to do as far as do this and don't do that. But when it comes to the fats, one of the things that's so interesting about that is that with the, because of the fact that when you think about your body needs, just for example, a car. You can have a very beautiful car. It can be the brand new car, 2011. But if you don't have any gas in it, you're not going anywhere. It's just going to be sitting there. So the same thing with your body. Your body needs fuel. And that fuel is generally in the form of glucose or the carbs that's into your body. So once the carbs come in, it turns into glucose. So you do need to have carbs in your body. It's just the right kind of carbs. Now, sometimes it's interesting if there's one doctor, Dr. Mark Hyman. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. Dr. Mark Hyman? Okay, you've heard of him. He was one of my instructors, and one of the things he said, avoid the white menace. Of course, the white bread, the white pasta, and all of this. But that's true, to avoid that. But what you're going to replace it with is just the healthy carbs, and that's it. So that means whole grain. So there are other things. People think, okay, I ate whole wheat. Yeah, but sometimes, people might not be tolerant of wheat. So you might have to eat other things besides that. So there's other things besides, brown rice, besides whole wheat, pasta. There's, as I mentioned, there's quinoa. There's other whole grains such as, I'm at a blank right now. There's buckwheat, pasta. There's millet. It's various different types of whole grains that you can eat. So if you restrict your body from eating carbs, only thing that's going to happen is that fuel, you're not giving your body that fuel or that energy that it needs, and it's going to backfire. That's the reason why you might have seen ones who've been on a no-carb diet and they lose weight, they look really great, and the next time you see them, they're like, whoa, what happened? Well, that's because your body is backfiring. Your body has to have that fuel, and the fuel is in the form of carbs. So we want to keep that in mind. And then when it comes to no fat, what the commercial world does today is that they take that no-fat advertising, so they're low-fat, no-fat, low-fat, no-fat, and they replace a lot of that because they might take out the fat, but what they replace it with is sugar. So if you look at, for example, if you take some of the pasta, and this fat-free pasta, if you look at the sugar content, you might be quite surprised as opposed to the pasta that's just a regular pasta. So you have to keep a balance with that, and that's the reason why, especially if you are working out and if you're doing intense workouts, you definitely have to fuel your body. And just as I mentioned before, what might work for one person might not work for someone else. You want to fuel your body with the right type of carbs, and you want to do that based upon whole grains. I have some information that I'm going to include to make sure that you're able to get just some samples with that, different whole grains and things that are very important with that. So hopefully, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. And is there any other questions?
This is a quick one. She'll play tennis and have 2 or 3 matches in a day. What's good to eat between matches if you've only got an hour or half an hour? Or
Okay. What do you like? Tell me a little bit about what you usually do. That's the question.
I like a lot of fruits, and sometimes I like nutrition bars or something.
She always wants the nutrition bars at the Sunflower bar, but I've tried to encourage turkey or
I eat a
what's
lot of
good?
bananas too, because that's good for tennis players.
Okay. Bananas is good, like it says, in the high glycemic level, so to give you that energy because it'll go in and come right back down. And it'll bring you kind of right back down in the sense of you'll be hungry faster. But if you're in between, if you like fruits, I would say something like an apple. You can put a little bit of almond butter on it or peanut butter if you like that, because that's good with the protein and also with the... Keep in mind, this fruit has fiber in it. Even though it's sweet, it has its sugar, it's a natural sugar, so your body is able to absorb it. When you get into the nutrition bars, the reason why I would say, especially because you're a young person, to kind of steer, well, all of us, to kind of steer clear from that, if you can have other alternatives, because the nutrition bars, they're going to make it so that it can, even though it says no preservatives and things that it's that, but if you imagine what's in it in order to stay in the package, it's been made a few months ago before it gets actually into your hands. So they're going to have to kind of still make it so that when it opens up, it's still, more palatable, it's still flavorful for you. So So what you can do is you can make little sandwiches for you if mom is able. Is this mom? Okay, mom, if you're able to do so. Like I said, you want to do an almond butter and an apple sandwich, which is really good. You can do avocado and tomatoes. You can, I'm just thinking of things that are really quick for you.
Right.
You know, as I mentioned with the apple, with the peanut butter, the almond butter, those are different things that are good. Pumpkin seeds is really good, especially with the, just to kind of let you know, to keep this nice and maintained. But pumpkin seeds are very good to help to really increase the energy as well. And
the turkey slice, is turkey, would that be good?
Turkey's good. If you do get turkey, make sure you buy the turkey slices that have no nitrates in them. Because of the way that it is processed. So nitrates have been linked to be a contributing factor to causing cancer. So you can buy Applegate, if you've heard of Applegate Farms, that type of the turkey slices, you can do that. That's good as well if she enjoys eating that. If you put turkey with some of the other things you want to do a little variety of, just briefly, instead of just the regular lettuce, add a little bit of variety with it. Buy some kale, there's some Swiss chard, bok choy, use that as lettuce leaves. It has a little bit more than just the your regular lettuce as far as with the vitamins that it has. Vitamins A, C, K, all that other good stuff.
Say whole wheat toast with almond butter, with that?
Yep, you can do that. You can do whole wheat toast, yeah. And just as another thing, if you want to do a multi-grain, the only thing I would say with the multi-grain is just to make sure that look at the content as far as with what it has. Real briefly. Because with the, see, that's what I have to say tomorrow. With the breads with the high fructose corn syrup, you know, there's a commercial that's running out now. The lady, she's walking in the field and she's talking and said, oh, you know about corn, you know what they say. And then she picks up her daughter at the very end. Okay. Yeah, well, anyone seen that commercial? You've seen it? Okay. So the high fructose corn syrup. Corn syrup, a high fructose corn syrup is a derivative of something. So what they did is they created, they took something from that to actually make it. So it's man-made. It's still not natural. And even though it said in the commercial that, you know, if you have it in moderation, that's all. And she picks up her child and she goes and follows someplace. Okay, most Americans, if you look at their cabinets, you might be quite surprised that I'll say about a good 85% has the high fructose corn syrup. So how can you do it in moderation if almost everything that's being sold has that in there? So how does that work with what we're relating to with exercising and eating right? Is because if you're exercising, you're trying to really get your body for the long haul to take care of yourself, being in shape. You're trying to eat right. When you put in things that are false into your body, it just throws your body off balance. So you want to keep your body maintaining a good balance. So, yes.
I have one quick question. What about folks that are gluten intolerant?
Excellent question. One of the nice things I like about Trader Joe's and Earth Fare is they have, well, Trader Joe's, I think they have a specific section if I'm not mistaken, but the different stores, they have sections for gluten-free foods, and it's absolutely wonderful. Sometimes the local grocery stores, they don't really have as much, but if you are gluten-free, and that's the reason why sometimes people have to do a process of elimination to find out if they are, especially if they have other health concerns that are going on. Sometimes it's easier for doctors to push, you know, well, you know, take this medicine or do this or do that or whatever. But sometimes it could fall in within the diet. There's gluten-free bread. Now it's very heavy. I don't know if you've tried it yet, but it's very heavy. And the reason why is because the ingredients that's used in order to, the gluten that's actually put in it helps to, it just takes it a totally different way. So let me just say it that way. But there's a lot of gluten-free pasta, a lot of gluten-free breads. So if you are gluten-free and you're not, if you can't have gluten, then there's a lot of foods that are out there that are for you. And especially when you think about the vegetables that are there, you know, all vegetables is gluten-free. And, you know, we Americans, unfortunately, we overdose a lot on spinach and broccoli. And so kids are like, I don't like spinach, I don't like broccoli. But it's various other different things that you can introduce in a variety, so.
It's good. Okay. Thank you very much. Oh, sorry.
I just have really
Yeah, go ahead.
Is all sea salt the same?
No.
I've noticed there's like that one's tame.
Well, yeah, well, I mean, it's in a sense, this is because this is Himalayan, so this is actually from the right. So that's the reason why this is this is pink because of the Himalayan, this is how this is. But some of them are gray, and others are white, depending like the Celtic sea salt is white. So they're not all the same as far as what the way they look, but
So if you buy, I guess my question is, if you buy something that says sea salt, is there a specific kind of sea salt you need to buy, or?
Okay, like I think Morton's just came out with the sea salt. I didn't look at that one, and it says it was, you know, the sea salt. Most, like with this one, if it's very fine, a lot of times they just go through the process of really just, you know, making or refining it. That's it. So unless if you look at the ingredients and it says that it's added other stuff, then that's when I would be concerned. But otherwise, this is just my husband does. I used to have the big rocks. So I was like, yeah, let's go to rocks. I was like, I have to buy something smaller if you want me to have this, because he had to go to great big. He's like, this is ridiculous. So I got this. Anyway, that's it. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to be able to speak with you. If you have any other questions, I do have, you can just let me know because I didn't bring that many, but by show of hands, I have, not saying I want everyone to be a vegetarian, so I just want to say that, but I do have some information. The vegetarian starter kit is really awesome. It's some great recipes, like a nice variety. If anyone's interested, I want to explore a little bit. So, okay, all right. And then I have my website.